Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 17th of January 2020. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a view of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation. It should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so I hope you can hear me okay, guys. So today, before we jump in, as always, guys, let's quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we update on a daily basis. So I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves, so feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab on the top. Now then, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. So looking at this picture here, this technical picture, looking at this 4-hour chart, we can see that yesterday the index did have an attempt to move towards this key area of resistance near the 7,665 zone, which is the high of the 27th of December, or in other words, the highest point of December. It failed to do so and then quickly kind of reversed back to the downside. I talked about this index this week, and basically what I was saying from the shorter term perspective, I was telling you to keep a close eye on this little short-term tentative upside line taken from the low of the 8th of January. Now we did get a nice break below this. Looking at the cash index right now, where it's trading at this point in time, it is slightly it's still below this this upside line, and roughly balancing around the 7,623 mark. Now again, given this situation here, for us still to get excited about the upside, well, ideally we need to see a push above this barrier, above the 7,665 zone, and only then we will aim for a further move to the upside, because this way the index would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and more potential buyers could be joining in here. Let me just get rid of this upside line. Now in terms of the downside, well, again, this is our preferred level, the 7,525 zone, which is the low of the 8th of January, and in a way, or in other words, the lowest point of January. So in a way, if we do get a drop below this, then yes, this could open the path towards lower levels. Now, for those who are looking for something more from the shorter term perspective, you could start considering this area here, the 7,525, if we get a drop below the 7,582 zone, roughly around there, and that's basically the lowest point of this week. So if we do get a drop below this, then yes, this increases the chances of a possible move lower here towards this 7,525. But as I said, that's the break that we need to see in order to get comfortable with, let's say, slightly lower areas. Jumping into gold very quickly, haven't looked at this one for quite a while, and basically still the same game plan remains. Now again, for us to get excited about any further, let's say, at least a short-term directional move, we need to see a nice good breakthrough one of our levels here, and basically on the upside, that's the 1563 zone, which is the high of the 10th of January. A nice good break above this could in a way open the path towards the 1595 or even the psychological 1600 level, but again, for now, you can see that it is trying to make its way higher, but it might be struggling here for now. So let's keep an eye on this one. Let's not rush into this. Let's, like I said, wait for that confirmation break, and ideally also we'll start considering the upside if we also get a nice, at least a 4-hour candle close above the 1563. Ideally we would prefer to see a daily close, but we'll start considering the upside if we get at least a 4-hour candle close above this 1563. Now in terms of the downside, we'll take a slightly more conservative approach and wait for a drop below the 1535-36 zone, roughly around here, and only then aim for the downside, because again, if we do get a drop below this level, this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could start aiming for the 200 EMA, or even the 1516 mark, which is the low of the 31st of December. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Quick mentioning of Bitcoin. So with this one here, it's for now it's working out nicely according to the plan. Now we've posted on TradingView this idea of Bitcoin basically while it was still kind of hanging around here near this downside resistance line. And let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about. So this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 27th of June, or in other words, let's put it that way, the highest point of June. So what we were looking for a nice clear break above this 8,470 zone. We did get that and continue to push higher. Now this is what I was talking about yesterday as well, where I was saying that even though if we see a bit of a correction lower, as long as it remains above this 8,470 zone, this could still be a nice positive thing here for the buyers. And this is where it's that, this is one here, this is where we've posted it on the 14th. And we made a call here on Bitcoin, and it was breaking this one nicely, so continues to push higher to the upside. So our main target for now is around the 9,600 zone, which is the high of the 4th of November. After that, if it does want to travel further north, yes, we'll aim for higher levels, but for now let's keep it short and simple. Like I said, for now we'll aim for this 9,600 zone. In case this suddenly reverses sharply to the downside, again, for us to consider lower areas, we need to see a drop below the 7,689 zone, and only after that we will consider deeper declines here. So, but again, it seems that the downside could be slightly off the table. AUDUSD. Now, I talked about this one yesterday, and in my morning video, and then in my Traders Tea Time. So basically, in the morning video, what I've mentioned was that it's positioning itself nicely for a potential move higher. So it did manage to break this little range here, which was roughly between the 0.6880 and the 0.6920. We did get a nice break here to the upside, but what I was also saying that we need to see a nice good close. Initially, of course, we would like to see a 4-hour candle close. We did get that, but again, you can see that the in my Traders Tea Time, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on the daily candle as well, because we may get ourselves a nice false breakout, which we actually did. So we saw this breaking up to the upside, pushing above the 200-day EMA here. That was all nice and sparkly here for the bulls, but the bears quickly stepped in and sold this one and push this one lower. But as you can see, the lower side of the range that I talked about kind of kept the rate from pushing lower. Now this area here, the 0.6880, that's where we're going to be continuing to monitor. So if we get a drop below this, this could lead the pair towards lower levels. The only thing is that the downside could be slightly let's say it could be limited near this upside support line taken from the low of the 2nd of October. So if we do get a drop below the 0.6880, then yes, we will aim for lower levels, but only up until this upside line. If we do get another attempt to make a break here above the 0.6920, now this is probably where again the bulls might get excited, and we could see this one pushing higher. The target for us here on the upside is the 0.6965, and after that we'll see what he wants to do then, and if he wants to reverse correct back down, then yes, we'll consider that. But for now, let's keep it short and simple, and only we'll wait for a clear break again through one of the highlighted areas before we consider a further short-term directional move. Now then, GBPJPY, also something that I talked about yesterday and in my traders tea time as well. And I've talked about this for you guys to keep an eye on this little kind of range here. I started off in the morning saying that keep an eye on the little range here, roughly between the 142.34 and the 143.46 zones. During my tea time, we saw the nice break. Well, we already had the break after when I was delivering the tea time, and what I was saying that keep your eyes on this barrier, the 143.46. If it continues to act as a nice area of support, then we could see this one drifting further north. Now again, what I was also saying that in order, well, for us, we will only consider this level here, the 144.36 as the main target for now, although I do have the arrow up until the 144.43. That's basically the ideal scenario that we would like to see. For now, kind of it is making its way towards this barrier, this target, so that's working out nicely. The only concern here is will it actually manage to break straight away this level, or will it do something like this where it could drift back down a little bit here, and if this area holds, we could see another round of buying, and potentially then we could break the 144.36 mark and aim for the 145.43. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on this barrier here, the 144.36. Let's see if it actually holds. If it does, then yep, we may see a bit of a correction, but if it doesn't, then well, it could be opening the path towards our main target right here. In terms of the downside, well, it's even if it drops back below the 143.46, all this territory would be somewhat of a neutral one for us again, because for us to examine, to at least start examining lower levels, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 142.34, which is the lower side here, this key area of support, lower side of the previously previously discussed range, but even then we should be very careful, because we do have this upside, this tentative medium-term tentative upside support line taken from the lowest point of September. So we'll be very careful around here and see how it wants to perform there. But again, the downside is slightly off the table. EURUSD. Now, I talked about this one as well, as I do all the time at the end of my video. Basically, this is what I was mentioning yesterday. So yesterday we were still hanging around nicely here above the 1.1147. We did get a nice push higher, but as during my tea time I was talking about, during my tea time we already had this reversal back into this little zone here above the 1.1147, and then what I was saying, that if we get a drop below this, then not all is lost for the bulls still. We could see maybe this one pushing to the upside again, because we're still trading above this little short-term tentative upside line taken from the low of January 10th. But again, looking at this formation right now, it seems that it could be a flag here, but the opposite way. So again, be very careful with this one. Probably we'll keep this upside line for now. We'll see if it actually does any difference, or does it actually support the rate from dropping lower. If it doesn't, then well, all eyes are back on this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 31st of December, because if we see a drop below this and we see a drop below the 1.1103, now this is where the bears could get excited again, and we could see a drift towards this upside, medium-term upside support line taken from the low of the 1st of October. This is where the downside might get limited, and we may see maybe a nice rebound here, but if it fails, then yes, deeper declines are possible. But again, for now, guys, from the very short-term perspective, all eyes are on this little short-term upside support line. If it breaks, then well, we're keeping an eye on this downside line. In terms of the upside for us, still probably the same level remains remains the 1.1163 zone. We'll wait for a nice good break, and ideally at least a 4-hour candle close above this level before kind of targeting higher areas. Okay guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. As always, I hope you join me later on at my Traders Tea Time at 14:15 GMT. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye bye.